Cool.
My name is Beau Haag. I go to Kutztown University. I'm a senior. Last year I did research with my advisor, researching the occurrence of uranium in a dolostone breccia in southeastern Allentown. Didn't know how the uranium was occurring. The main point of the project was to investigate what modes of occurrence, how the uranium was occurring within the rocks, what minerals it was occurring as, whether it was occurring as uraniferous minerals or just as substitutions within normal minerals such as apatite and zircons, detrital zircons, and monazites. Originally we interpreted the uranium to be occurring within the apatite structure. However, closer analysis revealed that the molar proportions of calcium to uranium to phosphate did not coincide with the apatite mineralogical structure, and because of that, insinuated that maybe this is an amorphous phase. The grains which we were analyzing were just too small for the analytical equipment. Like I said, we used a scanning electron microscope to identify the elements which were occurring alongside the uranium, and using those known elements we could figure out molar proportions to interpret what minerals the uranium is occurring. We submitted our research to GSA 2017, or the Geological Society of America. We submitted our abstract, and I was accepted to present this research at their annual society in Seattle, Washington. The main geology of the site is that you have these Precambrian, granitic gneiss Precambrian being about, say, 1.2 billion years old. It's very interesting that uranium is hosted here because carbonates are the least uraniferous of all known rock types. While the uranium only occurs in subeconomic levels, it occurs within dolostone, which is a carbonate rock, has CO3. Dolostone being predominantly made of dolomite and calcite, which is carbonate. It's weird for the uranium to be in a carbonate rock because carbonate rocks don't technically host uranium. However, there are a number of factors which have led to the deposition of the uranium within the rock. We believe that the uranium came from the overlying granitic rocks, the gneisses, which were thrust over top, because when you have these gneisses and you have the gneiss being thrust over top of something, it brecciates the gneiss. And gneiss, or granite, well, granitic gneiss, commonly has higher levels of uranium than other background rocks, decaying into radon, which would hence pose a potential health hazard to those which were living in the development where we collected these samples. As you can see before me, we have several samples, well, actually quite a bit, that we collected from the site, which is an old quarry. The samples, as I said, they're dolomitic limestone, about 50% calcite, 50% dolomite. They're heavily brecciated.
Do you have any rocks that would have radon on it? Like, you know, here?
Yeah.
You do? Are there any of them on the table?
Yeah. Because the uranium occurs within an urban setting where there are houses, and uranium commonly decays into radium and then radon, which is a toxic, cancer-causing gas. We wanted to investigate how the uranium was occurring and see whether or not it would pose a health hazard due to it decaying into radon and infiltrating homes within the area in the Lehigh Valley Basin.
Is it dangerous to the environment at all?
No. The uranium occurs in subeconomic levels, hence being you can't mine it and make a profit off of it. It also does not occur in any quantity that is dangerous enough to produce radiation poisoning. This is a Geiger counter. Geiger counters are used to detect radiation. This one specifically is mine that can detect gamma, alpha, beta, and X-rays. And you can actually see that, like, not much is going on, but when you point it out the sample, it doesn't give off a lot of radiation, but it's definitely detectable as opposed to, I don't know, some rock that doesn't have any uranium in it. That's just background radiation. You can actually hear the each click is ionization event, which represents decay of the uranium. Detect the uranium within these rocks is because uranium is an unstable element, meaning that it has an unstable proportion of protons in its nucleus as opposed to the electrons which are surrounding it. And because of that, uranium wants to become more stable, and it releases protons within its nucleus and decays into smaller elements. So uranium decays into things like lead and radon and thorium, and because of that decay, it emits these particles, which are protons, which is basically a hydrogen without a nucleus. And the resulting proton comes off, and we can detect it using a Geiger counter, and it comes off as an alpha particle, as we call it, which is just a hydrogen without a nucleus. Alpha particles are the least strongest of all types of radiation. Can't even penetrate a sheet of paper. However, they're not something you need to ingest, because when you do ingest them, because they cannot penetrate anything, they just bounce around inside you and wreak havoc on your insides until you get sick and possibly die.
So you don't want to lick the rocks.
You don't want to lick uranium-bearing rocks. There's a isotope of potassium, which is a radioactive chyme. It's the most potassium is the most abundant radioactive element which we have on Earth. The radiation given off by these rocks is approximately equivalent to that given off by bananas, except for the fact that it's mostly alpha particles being given off by uranium, as opposed to alpha particles being given off by potassium, which is decaying. I don't know what to say. It occurs as these coatings on the sulfide minerals, and it also occurs as calcium uranium phosphate without an amorphous calcium uranium phosphate phase.